So I'm talking with Devon Beckner, one of our newest team members here at Troyce Gatewood Partners. So Devon, when we get started here, I want to talk to you more about your house hacking thing in a minute, but first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, what brought you into real estate.
Okay, so I got into real estate through house hacking.
Okay.
And a couple years ago, my husband and I, we were looking for our first property, but we had stumbled across a podcast, or I should say he did.
Okay.
I started getting into finance, like working on my finances, like my personal finances, and I got very interested. And he did as well, but he went a slightly different direction, and he found real estate, which to me at the time, I was like, that's really weird, like, what are you talking about, real estate?
And how old were you guys at this time where you started finding this stuff?
Roughly, like, probably 23 or
Okay.
so, like, years old, yeah, so kind of like right after college,
Yeah.
started getting interested in this.
What drove that interest? Was that stuff you guys had looked at in the future and you just found out you had in common, or did you see something that sparked that interest in you, or what made you start going down that path?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think financial stability, just
Okay.
making sure we were both going to have that for the future is just very important to both of us, so we kind of lucked out.
Awesome.
We've known each other for about 10 years now, and it was later on in our relationship that became sort of important to us and a focal point.
Yeah. Now I would say the average 23-year-old is probably not worried about or thinking about financial stability. And you don't have to go too far in depth, but was there a certain thing that happened to you, or did you have, like, some people have a mentor that put them on a great path. Some people had examples that they went, I don't want to go down that path, so therefore I'm going to go down this one.
Yeah.
Did you have one or the other? Did you guys have them separate, or what?
Honestly, both of our parents were kind of hit with the 2008 market crash.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that we were just very aware of and just wanted to make sure, that, or put ourselves in a position where we could avoid maybe some of that struggle.
Because you got to see what it looked like on the other end, right?
We did, yeah. And we were pretty young when it happened too. So later on in life, when you sort of realize what happened, it, to me, made it, very much, it was very important for that not to happen to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're 20, what podcast did you find, by the way?
Yeah, so it's called Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a weird name.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so honestly, it's just a wealth of information though, and it's good for people who are just starting, like we were, up to people who have millions of dollars in their portfolio. So yeah.
It's cool to have so much information to pull from now and to find these people that are doing it to make it more of a reality now. So do you guys find that podcasting format, is that how you get a lot of your information on that stuff now?
Yes, so definitely snippets, like we read a lot of books, a lot of online research, but there's a lot of resources, not just the podcast, but different people that we've learned from that we follow, like on social, different things that we've just kind of learned along the way. And there are a million ways to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of creative people out there, and we didn't realize that. You think you buy an apartment building and you make money or whatever. There's so many different ways, and we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's jump, we're going to come back to the house hacking piece here in a minute. So as you were going down the road, what were you doing before you actually joined here as a realtor?
Professionally?
Mm-hmm.
I was working in account management. I was a communications major, and I never really knew what I wanted to do with my life. But my dad was a contractor, so kind of weird, sort of almost came back full circle. Like real estate was always there. That was kind of always something in the background that I never noticed. But yeah, I just did admin work for a printing company originally. And it was okay. I got to be kind of creative, but I was kind of chained to a desk, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. Yeah. Because
you're very humble, I'm going to plug you here for that. So you've only been here for a very short amount of time. And during that time, you've already helped a lot of people buy and sell. Your average per month is much higher than the average realtor who's been doing that for a long time. So you kind of came in and were successful, and you still have the record for fastest transaction starting, because when everybody starts here, nobody has real estate experience, right? You start fresh.
Yeah.
You knew nothing, you passed the test, and you started here, right?
Yeah.
How long was it till you had your first contract? I remember if you don't.
I think it was 7 days.
It was 7 days.
Yeah.
So within 7 days, and you've been consistently successful since then.
Yeah.
What do you think that allows you to have that kind of success just in real estate and helping other people when you are new to it, yet as you're talking here, you've got years of experience already, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it is about, what do you think you're doing that allows you to do that so quickly?
Well, thank you, first of all.
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer though, but I think just having the bit of background that I do, I mean, my husband and I, we looked at a lot of houses and I used my dad and his expertise too. And I don't know, it just kind of helped me, and it's sort of something I do every single day, and I was doing every single day for years. I was listening to podcasts or reading books, and I think just having those little bits of information each day, it really does make a difference.
Does it seem less scary to you because you've got that proof each time that you've heard of other people that are doing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I think that's one of the big things for new real estate investors, or young or older, however, whatever age it is. It's scary to start because you've never done it, or you may not know others that have done it.
Yeah.
Did you have people in your family that had a long background of real estate investing when you did this?
No, actually. Let me think about that
Yeah.
really quick. No, honestly, my aunt, she actually house hacked.
Okay.
Didn't even realize that's what it was, but she had a separate like apartment in her home.
Yeah.
It had a whole separate kitchen, bathroom, entrance, all of that.
Yeah.
So she was kind of doing that, but I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's funny you say she accidentally, that's, as we were talking the other day, I didn't realize I accidentally did it too. When my wife and I bought our first house that we fixed up, we had like every room rented, and I didn't think twice about it, but it's like I look back and I'm like, huh, we did that a
You
little
were
bit.
a house hacker.
We were, yeah, unknowingly.
Yeah.
So if you could kind of define, like, give us a rough definition of what is a house hacker? Like, what does that mean?
So a house hacker is someone who purchases a primary residence for themselves.
Okay.
And there's different ways to do it, but probably one of the most simple ways is just to rent out a bedroom in your home.
Okay.
So you'd share like the common spaces together, like kitchen, living room, and all of that, possibly a bathroom depending on your setup.
Right.
Another way, the way that I did it was I had a basement, like a finished basement in the townhome that my husband and I bought.
Yeah.
It had its own private full bathroom down there, and it's a pretty big space, and it didn't have a wall at first, so we actually put up a wall in there so that it had some privacy and a door, and we put in there was like sort of a small window, but we made it like a proper window so they had like actual egress,
Like a
so
full
it was safe.
bedroom,
So it was
bedroom.
a legal bedroom.
And that's smart not only on your part to make that more accommodated, but also as a house, as somebody who has been renting, I assume you basically have the same liability as a landlord would, right? So
Yeah.
you've got to provide those.
You have to, and
Right.
like my husband and I, like part of kind of our mission through all of this is we don't want to be slumlords.
Mm-hmm.
Like we feel as though like what we're providing like should be quality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's really important to us. So putting in like a window, like yeah, you could, like there's plenty of people that live in a basement, but if something, were to happen, if there were a fire, it could be really, devastating. So those
Yeah.
things are important to us.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So talk to us about the benefit of, now as a regular real estate investor, if you're buying now I noticed you said owner occupied, which is really important. I think that's a key to talk about here.
Yeah.
To be a if you were going to invest in real estate, let's say you were going to go buy a condo or a townhouse or anything that you were going to rent out, it requires at least 20% down, 25% you get a better interest rate, and you get it at a much higher interest rate than the
Yeah.
regular market value.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the benefits of buying a house and using it as an investment property this way.
Great, that's a great
Financially.
point. So financially, depending on the loan product that you use, I mean, you could do as low as like 3.5%. So that's a huge plus because not putting too much money and like leveraging yourself too much can be important when you're investing.
So do you happen to remember off the top of your head, how much money did you put into
Yeah.
like how much did you put down when you bought your first house that you house hacked?
Yeah, so it's funny. So at the time, I was pretty fixated on our monthly payment, me personally, over my husband. So I wanted a certain number. So, it's funny I said that, but we actually ended up putting 15% down.
Okay.
So we bought it for $239,
Okay,
and that was back in the fall of 2019.
okay.
And yeah, 15% down. So that put our monthly at, I think it was $1420.
That's really interesting. And,
Yeah.
and just to compare, because that's funny that it happened, I didn't realize it was that time frame.
Yeah.
So my wife and I actually bought our first investment property in the fall of 2019.
Oh, really?
Yep, and we bought it as a separate residence. We didn't do the house hack method.
Yeah.
So at that time, we bought it for $230, so a little bit less. We had to put down 25%. So in that scenario, you would have put down what, 35 plus what, another, I don't know, $4,000, so
You're
about like
around that.
39,
Yep.
40.
Yep, pretty darn close.
Where we were out of pocket more like 65
Yeah.
to 70, and our payment wasn't that much different. Our payment, after putting that much more down, was about a little over $1,200, and yours was only what, 14?
1420 or something
Right,
like that.
because you got a much better interest rate,
Yeah.
and you would have been able to save a fair amount more cash
Yeah,
as well too.
Yeah, I think
That's
our
awesome.
rate was 4.125.
Wow, see, that's great, and I think ours was closer to 5.5 or something like that, which
Yeah.
was a good rate
Yeah.
for an investment property.
Yep.
So that's really interesting, so you were able to save that money, you got the benefit of it being your house, obviously it's your house as well
Yeah.
too, so you're not paying for a separate place to live.
Yep.
And then you're able to generate income in your own house.
Yes.
What was your mortgage, like, so your mortgage was around 1,400,
Mm-hmm.
with what you rented the basement for, was it the basement in that one?
Yeah, it was the
Okay.
basement in that one, so we rented out the basement, we included utilities in that
Okay.
because we were living there too.
You were sharing them,
Made it
right.
easier, $900 a month.
Okay, so you what age were you guys at that point?
What were we then? 19, so it's 3 years ago, so like 24, 25.
Okay, so as a 24-year-old or 25-year-old, you're owning your own house,
Yeah,
you're paying about $500 to $600 a month.
they were paying more than we were.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and they were probably happy as could be because you're not gonna get that much space for that amount of money in our area,
Yeah.
either normally. Like, they're not gonna go get a house
No.
that's the size of the basement for $950,
No,
right?
uh-uh.
That's really cool, okay, so
Yeah.
there you guys are, you started that.
Yep.
Talk to me about what you've done with that knowledge or since then, from the investment side.
Okay, so since then, so we did some updates in that house, all cosmetic things.
Mhm.
But we reconfigured the primary bathroom upstairs. We added another closet in there. We wanted to make some improvements because we intended to keep that property as a rental, just like as a straight buy and hold rental
Yeah.
afterwards, after we moved on. So what we ended up doing is with the market too, with everything appreciating, so you know, it's such a rate,
Yeah,
we ended up doing a cash out refi, I'm trying to think of when it was now. I guess it would have been 2021.
okay,
And so we ended up doing the cash out refi and we got, I think like 20 or 25 grand from that.
Mhm.
And that's what we used for the down payment for the next house.
okay.
Yeah.
So, because in that amount of time, my guess is your house went to about, what, 280, 290, 300-ish
Yeah, I
from a
think
value?
it was like 289 or something
Okay.
it came in at, yeah.
So in that amount of time, you were able to do that. Now, talk about what I think is really cool about house hacking.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you pulled that money out, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? Well, you went and then did what?
We purchased another property with that.
Did you buy it as an investor or did you buy it as a primary residence?
We bought it as a primary residence again and we only put down 5% that time.
So now here you are owning 2 properties
Yeah.
and you've put less than, if you add it up, you've only put 20% down, 15 on the first one, 5 on the second one,
Yep.
and you own 2.
Yeah.
Now with your other one, did you have to like change it into an investment loan or did you get to keep the same loan terms as you had?
That's a
On that
great
old
point. You know, I got to keep the same loan terms on that. And when we refied, we actually got our rate down significantly.
Yeah.
I think it was, what was it? Like 2 point something?
Mhm.
Like high twos?
Yeah.
That was, and then our mortgage went to, I think, and that's after pulling out the cash too. It's
Right.
like at like $13.50 now.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you also rent out the top, right? So you rent out the part you were living in.
Yeah.
You rent out the basement separately still as 2 units?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 different leases in place, so there's 3 roommates in
Okay.
there, so basement, and we've actually increased the basement rent, cause to $950 now.
Okay.
The primary is $950 and the secondary bedroom is $800. There's technically 3 bedrooms up there,
Okay.
but the third one is kind of on the smaller side, so we actually kind of included it for the $800 to sort of increase that value, if that makes sense, so they
So that
actually
person
have
gets
2
2?
rooms and a private bathroom in the hallway, they all have their own private bathrooms.
That's really cool idea.
Which is, yeah, the house actually, weird story, it had burnt down in 2004 and
Oh,
they
wow.
reconfigured the top and it's the only one in the development that has 3 full bathrooms.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so that was a really big deal for us.
Yeah.
It makes them more valuable to people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now you have a place that, so as early 20s, you bought your first house.
Yeah,
You lived there for a couple bucks at that point in time.
yeah.
Now that you've moved, you said 900, 950, and 800.
Mhm.
So that's a pretty good, what's that, 26, 27-ish?
Something like that, yeah, and so first of all too, something I learned on Bigger Pockets was to have sort of like a nest egg for like the property, so we ended up saving $10,000 for that property.
Yeah.
So if something were to happen, something catastrophic, whatever, we
Yeah.
have sort of a nest egg for that.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, it's just cash flow for us because we've kind of saved up to that point.
That's awesome, yeah, and that's the cool thing about, like, as you listen to, there's so many different philosophies in real estate investing. You listen to people that only invest in apartments,
Yeah.
that only do it this way, that way. I think the struggle, the thing that frustrates me a little bit when you listen to those things, there's the only right way. When they talk,
Yeah.
that's the only right way. But this is a really cool strategy, and it just sounds like this is something that just worked for you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, you know, you guys didn't, at the time that you bought this first house, were you both making six figures, doing crazy, like, salaries?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, like.
Together, was there six figures?
Actually, no.
Right?
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
first started, no,
Yeah,
we weren't. So it was a huge impact to our finances. And then COVID kind of happened too, and like I didn't really make a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
I really didn't, and neither did he. So
Yeah.
it was a huge deal. We were able to save at a much faster rate
yeah.
with that.
So people that, you know, are concerned, they don't have a lot of money, or they're concerned about how they're gonna make their payments and stuff like that. Here you were, two young professionals making under 100, which, you know, it was years before, but ours was probably very much just inflation wise.
Yeah.
We were in the same spot too. I was a teacher, my wife was a social worker.
Yep.
That did not equal $100,000. And you know, you guys are at that young age, you're owning a property. You're now owning your second one.
Yeah.
You're making about what, $1,200, $1,300 a month on your first one now? Give or take with some expenses.
Give or take with expenses.
But
Yeah.
it's safe to say $1,000 a month?
Yeah, 1,000. That's safe.
Yeah. So you're making $1,000 a month on an investment property that's gaining appreciation, that's paying you back. Someone else is paying that mortgage for you.
Yeah.
Now you're in your next one.
Yep.
Okay, which you put 5% down on.
Yep.
So tell me just, you know, as we kind of wrap up here, give me like the next plan for you. Like, where are you guys at now, and where are you going in the next couple of years? Like, what's the next step?
Okay, so that's good because yeah, that's something Kevin and I have talked about very recently actually. So we're looking to make another move again.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep this one, and it's downtown, and with the location, it's very close to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're up for trying things. It's a little bit of a different setup. It's a 3-bed, 1.5 bathroom.
Okay.
And it's an older property.
But in that area of town, that's a pretty normal situation,
It's
right?
pretty normal,
Yeah.
and it's actually a pretty good size, pretty good feel for the downtown area
Yeah.
too. So we're actually going to, we have a slightly different strategy with that. We think we can make more money either doing Airbnb or midterm, like travel nurse housing.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're trying now, but yeah, that's the plan, that's what we're sort of shaping up to do. We're looking for a house to stay in for a longer amount of time, maybe 10 years, because we've had these 2 moves, but
Right.
we're actually still gonna house hack. We're looking for something where someone is still going to live in the basement, but we'd
Okay.
like to do like separate kitchen as well, so they have their own common
Totally
area
their own
too, so
space.
it's totally separate.
Very cool.
But yeah, we plan on doing that for quite a long time. So that's the next house we're looking for, and then we'll just buy just investment properties and not do that anymore.
Gotcha. So you'll kind of eventually settle into your
Yeah.
longer term home and do that.
Yep.
But by that time, you're gonna have a pretty nice machine kicking off cash flow, right?
Yeah, honestly, between the first place, the second place, and house hacking this new place should about cover the mortgage for the third place along with the 2 others.
That's
So
awesome.
that basically eliminating your housing costs, which
Right.
just allows us to do so much more.
Because then it can snowball, right? Like
That's
once,
basically what's happening.
yeah, a lot of people struggle to get out of that debt, and they never
Yeah.
start to save like you guys did. So really, it was like one save
Yeah.
turned into these other things that you've capitalized on. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. Well, congratulations, you guys. That's so cool.
Well, thank you.
Now, as a realtor too, you're helping other people house hack, right?
Yeah, I had my first house hack client
Yeah.
recently.
So they want a deal where they are going to now rent out basically 3 spots in the house, right?
Yeah, so they're gonna live there first. So
Mhm.
for a year, for your primary loan, you're supposed to live there for a year. So they're gonna rent out the basement, which has its own kitchen, bathroom, and common area, and separate entrance.
Yeah.
And then they also have a detached 2-car garage, and someone rents out that space to work on cars just in that garage. They don't
Mhm.
live on the property, and then when they move out, they'll rent out the top too.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's very exciting.
So if there are clients out there, people that are considering it, they could call you, you can run them through the process and show them how they can make this happen, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's really awesome. So, last thing here, you said that books, podcasts, things like that. What would you say? Give me the three most influential books or podcasts that you've listened to that have affected your, not just your real estate career here now working as a realtor, but also your career, your life with you and Logan together doing that.
I would say my top one, it's not a real estate book, but Atomic Habits.
Okay.
That was a huge deal for me, very eye-opening, because I mean, the book to me, literally, if you break it down, is about breaking down like your big goals, your big dreams into smaller things and what you can do each day to achieve that.
Yep.
And that made all the difference to us. Like I became an agent.
Yeah.
And I would there were incremental steps that went into that.
So basically that, and I love that book too, James Clear, I believe, right?
Yes, James Clear, yeah.
So that's a really cool book because like people set goal. What I find all the time, people will set a goal. They start here, okay, here's where I want to go. But then very quickly it becomes unattainable because you forget about all the steps and they're not giant ones, right? So you're just chunking that down. So that's good. That's an awesome one. So Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
What else?
So as far as podcasts, definitely Bigger Pockets. They have a bunch of different podcasts though. They have one that's literally called like the Rookie Podcast.
Okay.
So if you're just starting, they literally have people that are also just starting and they talk about them buying their first property or their second property.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said,